So, the reason why I don't like that last guard pass that I just showed, even though everybody seems to really love it, the reason why I don't like that is people, for one, they struggle to actually make it work because they're not keeping the hips posted down as well. People's hips are riding up onto their leg, whatever. So you've got all these things that can happen with that one, and a lot of people, when they're new, don't find it as successful. And I think a lot of black belts really like to emphasize that one because it is one of the most powerful guard passes you can do. Within reason. I know some ones that work really, really well outside of that, but it is kind of one of the most foundational ones, and it kind of gets you into the concept of the guard. Now, the one that I actually want to talk to you about, and I'm going to go ahead and present it as, let's say that I didn't do a really good job at holding down the hips, and I'm about to go back and slide that back, and he slides up on my hips. Right? So what I want to be careful of, for one, he still has the ability to knock me over this direction. I'm more compromised on this leg. He's up on my hips, so this guard pass is no longer going to work. I have to get his hips off this leg. And the thing is that more advanced guard players will a lot of times kind of use their thighs to kind of get their hips slightly off the ground so that they start already up. And then what do you do? Right? If they're able to inch in and pull up so that they're even slightly under your thigh, that guard pass is not going to work in a million years. So what I'm going to do here, because they're onto my thigh, is I'm going to turn. All right? And I've gotten to this position, I've got this post here, right? It's not going to be very easy for them to drive me back. Because I've got this little post here, it's not going to be easy for them to take me that way and that way. What I do have to kind of watch out for is he might open his card, he might put a hook in here to kind of start to try to sweep me over that way. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to put my hand onto their thigh, and I'm going to lock out my shoulders. So coming down here where you can actually see that, you see I'm making a straight line with my shoulders. I have to shrug a little bit personally. So I get into this position, I lock that out, and now what I'm going to do, now I've seen this taught at several different ways. Now if I've got somebody's weight on here, it's not going to be easy for me to, and I've had somebody try to teach it that way. And the other thing that you see there, right, I'm offsetting my base every time I'm trying to stomp that down. Now you could, but I want you to pay attention to how much this leg moves. I can't get much out of that. So I don't think stomping down is going to be the answer. Likewise, especially because of how much range of motion I have, he might be really close here. It might be hard for me to get in this position. If I try to shuck down, I might have difficulty from my shoulder as well. But let's say that his thigh is right here, and I'm going to use this hand to represent his thigh for a second. I'm going to use this hand behind. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to internally rotate my hips. So you see, when I do that, my hand drops probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches. When I go back up, I lift the hand back up. Okay, simple. Now, I keep pressure here. This is just pressure. It's not me trying to push the hand down. What I'm going to do is internally rotate, and that drop is going to cause the thigh to move outward. And then I lift back up. Okay? And I don't necessarily even have to get over the knee. This hand that I'm pushing down with that thigh, all I'm doing is creating a block so he can't come back up. He can't readjust. So all I'm doing, internally rotate, and then from here, even if he's not past my thigh entirely, I've created enough space to come into this position. But what will tend to happen, even with me, with my husband, is that he's a little guy. You can see his workout video that I just posted in the workout section, but he's probably 30 pounds, 40 pounds lighter than me and 5 inches shorter. So when I'm wrapped around him, he's got like this 29, 28 inch waist. I don't have trouble keeping that guard. But this, if he does that, my legs are spread out really wide. It's going to be really hard for me to maintain that guard. So from here, I can come into that combat base. So that's a couple little basic guard breaks, and between you and me, like, this is the one that I kind of prefer people to start with when they're rolling. The keys elements on this one, right? And you don't have to wait for them to be up on your thigh to do it. Absolutely not. But the key elements to this one is that I want to make sure that this leg is a post. what I see a lot of times is people stay squared up. For one, you see I've already got as much internal rotation of the hip as I can get. And I'm limited in how much I can get when I'm in this kind of parallel position. So when I come up to do this, I'm doing a lunge this way. I'm facing the leg that I want to get. I'm going to shrug up and try to lock out, create this nice large post, right? If I'm flexed here at the elbow, I'm not going to be actually that powerful. Like, he can kind of potentially resist that. But if I create this locked out wall here, it's going to be a lot harder for him to maintain that guard. Right? And that's all that is just that 3 little movements there. It may take 5, 6, 7 of those little jerks to actually get open. I find generally it's about 2 or 3 for me, even on really long legged guys. That's usually because, again, that's a realistic distance that's going to change there. I'm not like exaggerating that. It's really going to be how far that leg is going to move. And once you get that guard open, and yes, this will work if somebody's trying to do a body scissor on you or whatever, but once you get that leg open, you come into this combat base, and then they're not going to be able to regard, and then I can start working on that actual pass. So I do want to kind of finish up this 2 video series on this. I've got a request to kind of go over more head surgery things, so I'm going to go ahead and do that here in a second. But once I get into this position and I want to start passing the guard, I'm going to go over submissions as well, so keep tuned here. But once I start going into this pass, this first leg, when it drops over, if this is the leg that does drop over, it staples the leg, right? So if I take this foam roll, and this is somebody's leg, and I'm coming over, this is the position I want to be in, right? So you can see that my toes are on the ground, my knees on the ground, right? If he starts scooting away, I want to ride with him. Now, the problem with this particular way of passing is this leg. If I bring this leg out or leave this leg in and I let go here, I'm in half guard. He's going to lock up on this leg and he's going to triangulate, and now I have to deal with that shit. It's not the end of the world, but it is something that happens. So, I could, reach for my head control, big back step, clear, right? Or I've got this leg pinned down, right? I get my head control, because that's the most important thing when I'm starting the guard pass. I put my knees together, and then I turn in and get that side control. So, kind of your basic of passing guard. Now, the reason why I'm stapling, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to drive my knee in there. I'm going to cause them some pain so that they're, distracted while I go through this. What's going to happen when you cause people sudden pain is they're going to spaz out, right? They're going to go, ow, and they're going to start shrimping away. I don't want them to shrimp away. I want them, trying to block my guard pass. I don't want him, oh, that's pain. I got to run. What I want is I want him just to be like, oh, shit, you're passing my guard. I need to do that. Now, that being said, well, what if I don't do that leg first, right? I got into this combat base here, right? Let's say, actually, this is going to be a better example of this, because you might be in this combat base. If you prefer to come up on this side, and I could take this leg, come over. Now, I'm going to finish this a little bit differently because of this, right? Usually what I like to do if I'm in this one, right, come over that leg, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to try to get under the arm on the far side this time. Instead of getting head control this way, I'm going to grab onto that shoulder. And then I'm going to slide through and look, I'm into that switch base that we talked about. So, just a couple ideas on how to pass guard and kind of get that control. But again, I'm stapling that leg, I'm keeping connection, right? So, my pressure is usually going to actually be like my hip next to his hip, or it could be this staple here, but I don't really want a lot of pressure on that, as I mentioned before. That is going to be kind of more my connection, but before I let go of this connection, I want to get head control connection, or I want to get that underhook, right? And And then I'm definitely rooted into the ground, right? I'm probably going to be more rooted in the ground on this leg because there's not much that he's going to be able to do to manipulate me. And this is the leg that has to be able to move, so I can't really be rooted on that, right? So, you know, as soon as I can, especially if I'm doing that slide through, right? I want to drop my weight into here, but here's going to be my pressure. It's going to be I'm establishing the pressure that I have in a switch base, right? As I slide through my connections with the leg, then I get this connection here, and then my hip roots into the ground for that side control position. Here I don't have to worry about how I'm rooted in the ground. It's mostly this knee and that foot, right? So there's your unintended rant onto guard passes there. So let's go ahead, we're going to take a break here, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start talking about arm bars and scissor chokes, more specifically a triangle choke and the concepts around that, right? All right, so we'll be right back.